It's big, it's powerful, should have crazy good range, and looks like the electric scooter your father or grandfather is going to like. It's the Kugoo Kirin M5 Pro, but is it any good? Let's inspect. That's actually cool. Yeah, that's the brand new M5 Pro by a company which is now called Kugoo Kirin. I say now because you can see here the Kugoo Kirin logo. It used to be Kugoo Kirin a few months ago. They have rebranded themselves, not really sure why. But the M5 Pro happens to be the latest and greatest. An e-scooter which obviously has off-road flavor. Pretty interesting setup because we have a little larger tire on the front, a bit smaller on the rear side. The motor is inside the rear wheel. We've got two spots where we can actually sit down. There's really plenty to cover. So this video is about the real life performance of this body, highlighting all the strengths and the weaknesses. So it's time to go. Believe it or not, the Kugoo Kirin M5 Pro was only $1,099 at the time around New Year, with regular price of $350 more than that. The price is definitely steep, but given the hardware specifications, it definitely is among the best value scooters of its class. Alternatives by VSET, Ninebot and other brands would cost significantly more, and I believe Kugoo Kirin well realize this now, and their prices are hard to beat. Let's unbox. Long story short, this is a heavy box, and if you have someone to help you, this would be great. What you need to do is similar to what most other scooters are going to require, namely to take it out of the box, which, if you do according to the manufacturer's expectations, is going to for sure be the hardest part. But if you unpack from the bottom and simply lift the cardboard up, that's gonna be much easier. For the assembling part, there's not too much to do. First, get to know the folding mechanism, then you may want to tighten the screws here and there. While you're mounting the handlebar, you're gonna notice that Kugoo actually start to integrate some bike components. You may want to do a double check of the brake levers, the acceleration lever, basically tighten everything. The storage unit also has to be mounted. Make sure to never ever leave the keys inside, because if you close it, getting the keys out is quite an adventure. From all the tasks before the first ride, the saddle took me the most time, and I'm not sure that everybody's gonna feel comfortable handling this procedure, so if you find it too challenging, just go to the nearest bike shop and you're going to get it fixed in no time. The build quality is at the first sight superb. Kugoo Kirin have really improved the look and the overall feeling of the materials and the design, and from the clunky, tin can sounding garage-made early models, they've integrated pretty awesome design ideas, brand identity, and the past couple of years are well going in the right direction. All of this confirmed after a lot of off-road activities and riding it where the infrastructure is not that great and there are no signs of weak points or issues with the structure. Before inspecting each of the components, let's pile up the most important specs in this list. A 1000 watt motor in the rear wheel, top speed of around 52 km per hour, there's a 48 volt 20 ampere hour battery, expected range is up to 70 km, maximum payload is around 120 kg, there is dual suspension, dual disc braking system, colorful dash display, 10 and 11-inch tubeless tires, hill climbing ability is around 15 degrees, and there's IP54 waterproof rating. I think, based on the specs we've just heard about and looking at the whole thing, it's a remarkable package, a very significant upgrade, especially as compared to the predecessor, the M4 Pro, because, well, when you look at it, it's an entirely different scooter. First, I really like the new structure, the new design, the new colors. We have the Kugoo Kirin new signature, and we have improvements of pretty much every aspect. Bigger battery, a lot more powerful motor, which is inside the rear wheel. It's almost twice more powerful than the predecessor. Better brakes, much nicer suspension, especially on the front side. And it's the first time we see something like a bike suspension on an e-scooter, and also the saddle, which feels more comfortable. And you have a second one, which is the so-called rack, which you can also use for storage, of course. We measured about the tires. They're bigger. We have 10 inches here, 11 inches on the front one. Tubeless. For the first time on a Kugoo Kirin scooter, I've heard that they don't have any sealant inside, so if you get yours and you get tubeless tires, make sure to put some sealant just in case. And given the size, I think especially if you're in the EU, better get to know the local regulations, because very likely you might have to register it in order to be part of the traffic. As usual, I would like to share more details about each and every major component. And as usual, we begin with the motor. 1200 watts sound like a great deal. This is the peak power of this 1 kW motor, but the truth is that the maximum torque is only around 30 Newton meters, which is not that great, but I think so far this is the most responsive and flexible motor installed on a Kugoo Kirin scooter ever. Since there's a saddle and rack on the back, the idea is to have a good balance instead of aggressive Tesla-style acceleration. Although Kugoo Kirin rate the climbing ability to be just 15 degrees, I feel that even steeper slopes are not going to be a problem, especially if the battery is freshly charged. Acceleration is quite good up until you reach around 35 km per hour, and then going up to 50 takes a bit longer, but achievable. The usual question about the range is something that represents different dimensions. If you weigh around 60 kilograms, ride at moderate speed in a flat terrain, use cruise control, there's not too much wind, and if the temperatures are right, the expected distance you're going to cover per charge is between 60 and 70 kilometers. As you may guess, these are almost perfect conditions and they're unlikely to be part of your daily routine. My weight is around 90 kilograms with the backpack. The place where I live is on a slope. It's wintertime with low temperatures, and urban environment means that I often brake and accelerate. In sport mode, it's 30 kilometers stop. If you ride at mode 2, then you can count on up to 40 kilometers range. Get some nice warm weather and engage the cruise control more often, and here you may even get around 45. So it really depends on the riding style, the terrain, and many other factors. So never take the prescribed by the manufacturer's range for granted, because it almost never is. As a person who prioritizes safety over comfort, a few words about the brakes. They are unfortunately not hydraulic, but luckily, being mechanical disc brakes, they are excellent, easy to maintain, and also dirt cheap to service. Still, I really would love to see more budget e-scooters with hydraulic brakes, because some models have become really affordable. The front tire is, by the way, 11 inches, a little unusual for electric scooters. This contributes to better comfort, especially when it comes to handling bumps or off-road areas. Both of the tires are tubeless. If I'm not mistaken, this is the first Kugoo Kirin scooter with this solution. No punctures so far on my end, and given the texture and the size of the tires, rather unlikely to happen. I've already shared my opinion about the construction, just adding the fact that the board is very wide, so you have plenty of space for your feet. The stem has adjustable height, which by the way could have been even higher, because if I ride the scooter in standing position, it's just fine for my size. Given the fact that Kugoo Kirin expects you to mostly sit, then I think the size and the shapes could be even perfect. The folding mechanism is a little trickier though. You need to pull and twist and then push the pedal in order to fold. To unfold, pull and twist this lever and then expand and push forward until it clicks. Holding the brakes at the same time is gonna make things happen easily. The saddle is soft, has extra suspension, and this is very comfortable. My only wish is to get an option to quickly remove the entire saddle installation. As for the handlebar and the display, this is typical for most e-scooter configurations and something like a signature build for 2022 and 2023 Kugoo Kirin models. The display is okay-ish. Even on a sunny day, you will distinguish most characters. At dark, it's a pleasure to watch, but I will definitely recommend to pay more attention to the road conditions. There are two massively bright lights on the front and also a well-visible tail light. So there we go, looks like the Kugoo Kirin M5 Pro is a pretty decent city commuting traffic member. And make sure to check your local regulations, because in many countries you may have to register before riding on the streets. After that much of praising, are there any drawbacks? I think I can always find flaws with virtually any kind of tech device. So those that are fair to mention about the M5 Pro, the lack of hydraulic brakes, the lack of a dual motor option to purchase, and this would have been delightful, and the just IP54 waterproof rating, and also the lack of Bluetooth connection and data transfer. To our usual question, is this electric scooter any good? I think that the answer is pretty obvious, and it clearly is yes, especially considering all the upgrades that Kugoo Kirin have implemented as compared to the predecessor, the M4 Pro. So over here, the much upgraded motor on the rear wheel, the tubeless tires, which I hope they're going to keep as something standard for this model, the improved lighting, the wider board, the overall much better construction, and of course we have to pay a bit higher price for all of that, but I guess considering everything that happened in the past couple of years, this is kind of expected. If you happen to have more questions or you just want to share with me what your impressions are about the M5 Pro, then please be invited. Comments are down below the video. As usual, more information about the product, link to order it, and some ways to support the channel you're gonna find in the video description area. And that's everything about this episode. I'm Michael and look forward to seeing you in our next video. Bye!